Andrew McCart, IFLTV, delighted to be joined by Mr. Eddie. Eddie, before I start, you've been doing Zoom interviews since I got here at probably on 5:30, an hour and a half, talking over the same. But where do you find? I was listening to you, and I'm like, how has this guy still got the same enthusiasm?
An hour and a half is like a normal stint during fight week. 2 or 3 hours, but that's on. Don't forget, it's Wednesday. So we've got it all again tomorrow.
Now you'll see me.
So it's like, and I'm trying. I always try to give every outlet as much time as possible. It actually, Matty Lawless, who runs our PR, he's good because the fact, you know what it's like, the press conferences. So I always, you've got to prioritise the bigger platforms, right? Otherwise you'd be an idiot. But the other platforms that come along, but some are very small and starting out, and some are getting bigger. Like, you've got to try and give them a leg up and a help. So I hate, at the end now, when I run out of time, I do a huddle so that a lot of the smaller platforms can still get their time. But I know that also they want their own individual interview. So I try and do as many of those as I can, just box it off. Like, you guys, you got IFL, you got Stomping Ground. Don't want to miss anyone out, but, you've got Seconds Out, Boxing News, and then you got, the ones that some people, if you, and it's got nothing to do with, I'm sure you'll ask me about Mr. Shalom.
Yes, of course.
But he was saying, like, Eddie Hearn, he's got the media in his pocket, pays off the, no, I just give them my time, and I give you interviews all the time. I don't hide when I've got nothing to say, or I don't want to comment, or I'm tired. I turn up and I deliver all the time. And certain people, and there's loads of them, but someone like October Red, those kind of it, where the questions, I actually enjoy the interviews because it's not just like, tell me about AJ Jake Paul, tell me about Devin Haney, tell me about, and I'm sorry, you're going to bring those
just
up.
ruin my interview.
No, but with IFL.
What's your whoopage? How's that?
My whoop's terrible at the moment. I had a terrible week. I'm training hard, but I can't, my sleep's not good. But But with IFL, we'll always switch it up. I understand the bread and butter is, right, it's Wednesday, we've got a show on Saturday, or a show yesterday, he said this, what you got to say about that? It's just what I do. So to you might watch me for 2 hours going, oh my God, he's saying the same, but that's just actually, it's my job. It's like that's what I'm good at. So there's no point. And one of the reasons that's got us to where we've got to is that accessibility with fans. And answering questions to fans and actually being open enough in interviews to let you know our plans, let me know why I've said that, and try and entertain. Try and just stir the pot, and that's part of the job.
Well, fair play to you, because people might think the Eddie Hearn lifestyle is the glitz and the glamour and the travelling and this, that, and the next thing.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that, there is, but I'll tell you what, that was a hard shift, I'll give you that. Because I was listening to you going, even I'm bored now.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here in Monaco again. I love coming here to these fight nights. Is this the best card you've put on in Monte Carlo?
By a mile. I mean, this is a card that if it was at Wembley Arena or if it was at Manchester Arena or the Co-op, everyone would be saying, what a card. You've been coming here many years. This is everybody's favourite fight week because obviously they get a chance to travel. You're staying in Monaco, it's the dog's bollocks, and everybody loves the experience. But this card, like I said, McGrail against Masood, brilliant domestic fight with World Championship ramifications. Conor Walker against Pat McCormack, what a fight. Even Hugo Mikalev, the unbeaten Monaco fight with Top Rank against Sean McComb. Beatrice Ferreira against Elif Turhan. Now, even if you're not crazy about women's boxing, that is one of the best fights that can be made in female boxing. Johnny Fisher returning to action as well. And one of the best things about this week and this time, you'll hear it on Saturday, everyone's got a load of travelling fans. So, like, Johnny Fisher's brought 100 from Essex. Right, they're staying in the Hermitage, absolutely. Prince Albert's not going to be happy. You've got Pat McCormack's lot coming from Newcastle, Connor's lot from Wolverhampton.
Sean McComb told me he's got a few coming.
You've got McGrail's lot coming from Liverpool. You've got Masood's lot coming from Stoke. And it's actually just it's a really nice night. But this, by far, we sold out weeks and weeks ago. It only holds about 800, 900. But yeah, I think it's a brilliant night of boxing.
I'm looking forward to every single fight, but the two fights I'm really looking forward to is obviously the Pat McCormack, Conor Walker, and McGrail and Masood. But sticking on the McCormack and Conor Walker fight, there's no British title on the line. How are both fighters feeling about that? Because obviously I knew Pat McCormick wanted that British title, but obviously...
Well, he still does, and I hope, we'll see if that comes. I mean, I was astonished to see the odds for Conor Walker. I think he's something like a 7-1 outsider, which I think is unbelievably disrespectful given his performances and his victories. But it's also a sign of how highly Pat McCormack is rated. And by the way, I'm one of those people that rates him very, very highly. He's a phenomenal talent, but he's not yet really beaten anyone with the resolve or the ability of Conor Walker. Conor Walker messaged me yesterday and he said, I'm in Monte Carlo. I just wanted to say, I can't believe it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I can't believe I'm here, this experience. And that's a really, he's such a lovely guy. And I said to him, mate, this is what you're fighting for. This is the life and these are the nights that come through victory. And he's like, I'm going to beat your golden boy. You know that, don't you? I said, you're my golden boy as well. And you are. And you might not be an Olympic silver medalist and you might not be, an undefeated fighter, but you are someone that's very important to Matchroom. You give us 110% every time you fight. You've made great money and you've changed your life already. But by the way, there's another level and that comes through victory. And what that tells me is he's going to be a tough man to beat on Saturday. Now, Pat McCormack's an unbelievable talent, right? For me, could well be a world champion at 147 and even, more achievements than that. We're going to find out on Saturday what he's all about, right? Chin, heart, balls, engine. And that's what's great about it.
I'm excited about it.
And that's what I said to Conor. I said, mate, this is a great opportunity for you both. May the best man win. And two great guys, two great fighters. It'll be a thrilling fight.
Masood McGrail, though, they're both technically probably the two of the better boxers we have in Britain. Maybe even world boxing. Technically, with the way they move and the shot selection. What type of fight are you expecting from these two?
I think McGrail has been incredibly aggressive in his fights, given the fact that probably when he turned professional, people didn't expect him to do that. He's a great technician. I mean, they called him the Scouse Lomachenko. And listen, when he got beat, it was a fight where he dropped the guy. He was dominating every round and just because he was trying to finish the job, walked onto one and got stopped. And it's been virtually faultless since then. I think this will give him the ability and the chance to box a little bit more. Masood can be aggressive. He can be a good counter-puncher. I mean, in the Liam Davis fight, you saw him actually just box Davis's ears off in that fight, and it was a wonderful performance. But he's been quite inactive because of the injury. This fight was supposed to happen before. So it's quite, the inactivity is a disadvantage for Masood, even though he's coming off a great win. It's just a brilliantly matched fight. Domestic fight, but again, one that when you look at the 122-pound rankings and names, away from Nair Inoue, who else is there? And I think the winner of this fight is going to put themselves in a great spot for a potential mandatory position.
Great fight as well. Johnny Fisher, though, new trainer. Coming off that Dave Allen loss and whatnot, up against an undefeated opponent. So I don't know much about the guy. 7-0. How obviously sometimes when a heavyweight comes off a loss like that, the trainer change and whatnot. How's his? I know Johnny Fisher and his dad; they're just happy-go-lucky type people. But for Johnny, how much of a must-win is this for him at this stage of his career?
I mean, obviously, new opponent, and the opponent comes in with not much experience, but game, and as far as he's concerned, come in to just get the victory of his life and change his life forever. So in the heavyweight division, you've got to be really switched on. Johnny has had a great camp with Tony Sims, and the problem that Johnny always had was experience, and the experience that he would have gained from the two Dave Allen fights would have just been huge for him. Coming through from a handful of amateur fights in working man's clubs, and then demolishing everybody in the heavyweight division. The two fights with Dave would have taught him so much. So we need to get on a bit of a run with Johnny now. Get a good win on Saturday, and then come back March or April with like a 10-round international title fight, and really target those British, Commonwealth and European titles. I think that's where the focus needs to be now. I'm not saying we got carried away before, but his performances were those where, like when we took the Dave Allen first fight, I was very confident he beat Dave Allen, and he did beat Dave Allen, but it's a fight that could have gone either way. I then really believed that he would win the rematch because I just felt like he would learn from that rematch, And, you know, I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, so it's easy now to say, oh, should we have taken a rematch? And I've got to be honest with you, though, this kind of debate, like, it baffles me, really, because you want to see great fights, and you've got to test yourself at certain levels. Johnny Fisher, I believe, was good enough to beat Dave Allen. Now, Dave Allen all of a sudden turned his life around, started training hard, and he's a guy with great experience. So, but when you win that fight, and there's that much controversy, in my opinion, you have to run it back. If you think you can win the fight. And we all did, right, the rematch. Maybe we should have had one in between, right? But you still have to run it back, because everybody's going to remember the night that they fought, he won the fight.
Yeah.
And I go back to last week as well with Cameron Bong against Gavin Gwynn. I felt after that first fight, Cameron Bong should rematch him immediately, because he won the fight. I thought he lost a very, very narrow decision. I thought he won last week, by the way. But again, 6-4 both times, right? Now, what they did was they went away, they fought Jordan Flynn, then they had another fight, and then they come back. Now, Cameron's only 24 years of age. It was still a very brave thing to do, going for the rematch. But you can't just swerve it. You can't just, you know, the reality is, if those guys are going to be world-class fighters, they beat those opponents. Now, if not, they're not ready yet. They can still get there. Yeah. But don't be afraid to take, like, I'm hoping that those experiences that Johnny had in those two fights are going to make him a much better fighter. And I know they will for Cameron Bong. And I thought he won 6-4 on Saturday, right, in another close fight. But I was honest enough to say I thought he lost the first fight, and I thought he deserved Saturday. But again, like, everybody's looking for a perfect record and a perfect career. And I always say boxing is a game of snakes and ladders. Don't be afraid to get bit and fall down the board once or twice on the way. Life is not always perfect where you're just going to find the right way all the time. And it is if you're an unbelievable talent, elite talent that's just too good for everybody. But most times in life, you're going to hit a roadblock, you're going to fall down the ladder, you're going to get disheartened. And that's the career. But don't be afraid to take that challenge again. And I believe both of those guys, Johnny Fisher and Cameron Bong,
still both of them are young.
Yeah, but will be better fighters because of it. And I think one day they'll look back and they'll go, and Cameron Bong might go, you know what? Those two fights with Gavin Gwynn, they made me. Right? When he's 28 and he's 4 years' time and he's got all this experience and he's real man strength. And when Johnny's got more pro experience and more time in the gym and more world level sparring, he'll look back on those fights and go, God, they were the ones that really got me in this position.
I'll tell you what, I'm absolutely buzzing for this card. When Coogan offered to me, I was like, I'm on it, please. But I do want, you mentioned Ben Shalom, I want to jump there because I spoke to him last week. I was in Derby for the BBC show.
Yeah, he didn't really have my back, did you? I mean, when he said I'm 50, is he 50?
He's not, he's just a couple of years older than me. But when Ben Shalom said that, and he said he worked for your dad, a small part of me was like, yes, because I know there's going to be a comeback from Eddie. I knew there was going to be a comeback. It's not like the old Eddie that we were used to, but you did come back.
It's difficult because he's doing the right thing, right? I mean, imagine sitting in that boxer strategy meeting or whatever, and it's like, look, we've just decimated boxing on Sky Sports and finished. We've lost the contract. All our fighters want to leave. We've got no money. What are we going to do? And it's like, go for Eddie Hearn, because we know that's going to, you know, I mean, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to Ben, but he could put a glass eye to sleep. I mean, it's so boring. But when he's having a go at me, it's actually quite amusing. And so I don't blame him for doing that. Sometimes you just got to have a little look at the landscape and go, like I joked about PSG and Accrington Stanley and all that kind of stuff. So on one hand, you don't want to give them too much oxygen. But on the other hand, I know that obviously it gives everybody entertainment. And obviously when someone says something, I'll say personal, but you're gonna kind of bite back. So I just had to kind of put him in his box a little bit. But then I saw him on TalkSport.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that because he did say some brutal stuff in TalkSport.
Yeah, but that's really no one's interested in on him being on TalkSport talking about, no disrespect, but the upcoming fight that he might be having. But go on there and slag off Eddie Hearn. great. And you lot love it. So, like I said, I don't blame him. You've got to do something. I've had we've had calls from a couple of fighters who he works with, even in the last week or so, saying we want out. We want to be with Matchroom, and the exodus is upon us. But hopefully he can just keep going. And I think he's done a good job. Like, I know I joke that, and that is true. We put Sky Sports was the absolute mecca of boxing, and he just single-handedly destroyed it. But he's still done, like, how he got the contract was he was the 8th wonder of the world. And now he's got BBC. I know there's no money on the BBC, but it's still a great platform. So good luck to him. And I don't know his story. I don't know the achievements of his dad or his family, but I know mine done really well. I was born to a successful father. I think I've done very well, but I'm definitely.
Jordan had your back a little bit, though.
Did he? I haven't listened to it. I think Sam Jones sent it to me because he loves winding it up. You've seen this? You've seen this? And I was like, all the ages are all over. Like, it's not. It's actually mostly lies. But if you start trying to justify it and break it down, you get in a. But I hope he just keeps the energy, because he went missing for 3 months, and even at the Eubank weigh-in the other day, he was with Coogan, and Coogan went, jump in. I come up, and he just legged it. So it's like you got to, and I like I say, I think he's doing the right thing. But focus, a bit of advice for him: focus on the fighters and promoting them, because they're all trying to leave. So you need to really, right now, like, anyone now that leaves is a real another hammer blow. Because
big names.
Yeah, big names. Yeah, but like, and you'll see over the next couple of months when they go. But and by the way, because he's come out and he said, no, this fighter, well, you've got to look at their value. Are they worth keeping? What that means is they're going. But from a profile point of view, it's a disaster when it's like another fighter leaves boxer, another fighter leaves boxer. Then you lose all the momentum. They need the investment from people to kind of stay in the game.
Do you think they'll survive boxer?
Yeah, why not? Like, they've done well. Like, Ben, he's done well. Like he says, he's been out there in the coal mines of boxing, and he's really put the hard yards in. So, yeah, it just relies on investment, because all the shows are going to be losing a lot of money. So you need someone to keep pumping the money, and the money's got to come from somewhere. And the problem is, in boxing, you need a broadcaster that's paying significant rights fees in this crazy game where the purses are inflated, and but there's fighters that he represents that haven't boxed for 10 months, right? And they're world-class fighters in their world champions in their prime. I feel a bit sorry for him.
He said that he respects Barry and Matchroom, and he sort of held back on saying that he respected you. Do you respect Ben for what he's done?
He doesn't need to respect me. Like, I don't care. I don't wake up. I don't graft my nuts off every single day to earn Ben Shalom's respect. Do you know what I mean? He's a little, he's a little boy. He's a young man starting out, but it's not for everybody, this game. And I know he struggled badly with it, and I know, like, that whole victim thing, but like, they're keeping me out, and like, I've whatever he thinks my route is, I've been there when the whole industry, and people don't view him as a threat. So it was very difficult when I was coming through, because they viewed me as a threat. And it's like, it was tough. Don't forget, you've only got to Google it. Frank Warren, Ricky Hatton, Frank Maloney, Barry McGuigan.
Hennessy was there as well.
They all come together, hand in the middle.
I remember that photo.
Yeah, we're uniting to basically take on Eddie Hearn. Because in my opinion, we can't do it on our own. But the industry's coming together to take on this guy. Imagine that. Imagine being that dangerous that the whole of those people have to come together. And that was like, but rather than me looking at those images and going, why is no one, why is everyone out bullying me? And I looked at it and went, fucking love it. And that's the difference between some people. So, I've only been doing this for 16 years. But it's been a right battle at times, and that sort of turned me on so much. I decided to do it in America as well. And you remember when I went into America, Leonard Ellaby. I remember him.
Yeah, I do remember Leonard.
Right, Aaron, do you remember him?
I remember him. Oscar's still around.
Stephen Espinoza.
Yeah.
Oscar, that was the same thing. whatever you, Ludabella, whatever you do.
Are you attracted to chaos?
Yes. My dad said that to me.
Really?
Yeah. He went, you love the aggravation, you do, don't you? And
I
I'm like-
get that.
I'm like, no,
you
no,
do
I
enjoy
don't.
chaos.
No, but I actually like a quieter life like now, to be honest with you. But he's like, you just thrive off the aggravation and the drama. And I'm not sure, I don't think that's something that I'd thought about. But when he said it to me, he knows me pretty well. Because he got out of boxing because it's just so much aggravation. And then he went into darts, and it was like just the greatest thing that he's ever done. And he's so happy now.
Better than boxing,
And
apparently.
yeah, but now he'll come into my office sometimes or see me, and he knows the stress that, I mean, it's not a normal boxing business. We're doing shows every week all around the world. And he kind of looks at me as if to go, fuck me, God, what a pain in the arse your life can be at times. But also, I love it so much. I'm so blessed. I love the sport so much. And every show, like even the Conor Benn stuff the other week, it was just one of the greatest moments of my life. That victory, you know.
I've seen what I meant to you,
Yeah, and you know, where else are you going to get that kind of buzz, that kind of excitement?
Not darts.
No, well, darts is phenomenal, but it's everybody's passion.
Yeah.
You know, and my passion since the age of 8 has been boxing. And I never, you know, when my dad was a promoter, I never wanted to be a promoter. I probably wanted to be a boxer more than anything. I just was never...
Still time.
Never had any ability. But it's something about the sport, you know, because you're around it, so addictive. And, you know, to work in it is just an unbelievable blessing. The only thing I'm trying to do now more is take more photos. And
You know what? That's mental. Cause I've only got 2 photos with me and you.
Really? Well, I
And
wasn't
both of them
referring
are here,
to a picture of you.
No,
fair.
you
Me and
make me look ugly.
No,
to
we'll
be
have
fair.
one. We'll have Monte Carlo again.
Well,
Then we'll get a standard
It's
photo.
always been Monte Carlo. We've had a
Yeah,
photo
you know what it
together.
is as well. Prince Albert he calls on the dress code. So whatever he wants the dress code to be this Saturday, you don't have to follow it, but I do. And Pete, you know, and the dress code is lounge suits. Now, normally we're always black tie, aren't we? Now, you can go black tie, I'm sure you will do, but I'll be in a lounge suit. And I really like putting on the dicky bow, to be fair. But trying to take more photos of everything that I'm doing. Actually, on Monday, I did the remarkable thing of playing golf with my mates. They come out here, and we had a round of golf. And then we went for dinner, right? And I've not done that. I've got a very small group of real friends, and they've been my friends since I was 12 or even younger, 13, 14, 8, 9, 10, coming through. And they come out, there's 5 of us, and we played golf, and then went for dinner here. And I was like taking pictures of everything, and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, mate, guys, we've spent the whole day, we've had the best day, right? No one's even taken a photo. I'm going, right, guys, come on, let's have a photo in here on the first tee. They're like, oh, even at dinner, you know, the dinner comes out, oh, look at that looks good.
Mate likes a photo.
Yeah, but what I like doing now is when I'm travelling and I'm on a plane, I just like flicking back, and life is such a blur that it's like, oh my God, I was doing that last week and that was a great time, that was a great experience. Because also, there's so much aggravation and so much bullshit around and drama around what you do. Sometimes it's nice just to go, yeah, but look at life, like, you know? And yeah, so if you see me taking photos of just random stuff,
now we know why. I know you've been doing interviews all day, so a couple of quick ones there. You mentioned Conor Benn last week. Now, he is now, from the WBC convention, the mandatory challenger for that WBC green and gold belt at welterweight, 147 pounds. Garcia, Barrios winner. Talk to me about that. I spoke to Tony Sims in the car coming here. I was on the same flight as him, and I talked to him about, can he still make 147? He said yes. Talk to me about that fight.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, on the making of 147, obviously, I'm not qualified to say, yeah, he can, he can't. I mean, that's all done with the science. You know, Dan Lawrence, the amazing teams of people that know exactly the tests, the body fat, like all this, the density. They'll tell you whether, and they'll run the tests and go, nah, or yes. Now, don't get me wrong, it ain't going to be easy. But that starts now. So obviously Conor Benn now installed as number 1 with the WBC, and I see a few people sort of mixed opinions on that. The reality is wherever he was, top 5 or wherever he was, he just beat a top 10 middleweight in the world. He's going to go up the rankings. I believe he'd be fighting the winner of Garcia Barrios with or without the mandatory position, but we thank the WBC for that. And you know, it's a nice safety net to make sure we get that fight. The plan now for Conor, who'll be here on Saturday as well, is just that, taking the weight off, getting back down to 147. We also understand that fight between Barrios and Garcia will take place around February. So we probably won't get that fight till His Excellency talked about Cinco de Mayo, maybe even June. That's fine. Conor's gone, no problem. Like, I've had a mad year. Like, I'm going to enjoy my Christmas, just train, get the weight down, and then we can start camping, you know, wherever that'll be, February, March time. So he is, you know, I really feel like I had a good call with the Zone earlier. Obviously, Conor Benn did phenomenal numbers, and he's a great self-promoter as well. Like, he's someone that just gets all facets of digital and social media. His Instagram, his Snapchat, you know, all that stuff. He's brilliant at what he does. He's become a massive star. The Ben Whittaker numbers last week on the Zone, mind-blowing.
Makes your job easy.
Yeah, and also across, obviously it was a showreel knockout, so that really helps. But all the analysis, whenever there's boxing during the week or boxing on the same night, we always run our analysis. And I just looked at these Ben Whittaker numbers. I actually couldn't believe it. And I look at Conor and Ben, and I really feel like, you know, when people keep going, yeah, but who's the new stars of British boxing and who are those guys? Because when you look back over the last decade and you look at that era of, I don't know, AJ, Bellew, Khan, Brook, Cleverly, DeGale, Groves, Frampton, Quigg, I know Warrington's still going, but like, you know, and there's so many more to name.
It's good year.
Who are the ones now? And they are, there's many of them, by the way, but there's two particularly in Conor and Ben Whittaker that are massive names. Now, digitally, socially, but Conor Benn has now completely crossed over to the casual fan base, to boxing fan base as well. And I'm so excited about our stable of fighters, but those two, we're seeing the numbers that they're generating are frightening. And of course, AJ and Kay Taylor and, you know, Boots and like Bam and Bivol, and the list goes on and on.
Well, you mentioned Whittaker. Benavidez.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, you happy with that?
Do you know what? I was quite pleased that we'd all spoken about the route for Ben Whittaker and our realistic assessment and opinion of where he is right now and what we've got to do. And I said quite clearly going into that fight, we've got 3 levels.
I've seen that.
We've got Benavidez, Bivol and Beterbiev. We've got Callum, Boatsy, Yard. We got Richards, Azim, Willie Hutchinson, Zach Parker, you know, etc. And we're not, you know, we haven't even gone to that first level yet. We should be going there now after Gavazzi. And Gavazzi was a tough bloke, but was nowhere near elite world level. Now Benavidez is. So, like, on one hand, when you get called out by Benavidez, it's like, you know, it's a massive compliment because he's a big name, great fighter. But sometimes you have to be honest enough to go, in time, I think Benavidez against Whittaker is a monster stadium fight. But we need, and you won't actually hear me often say this, but we need, I mean, like, definitely.
Couple of fights.
I mean, I won't even say 2. Like, we've not fought anywhere. And you see the WBC ordered Boatsy today as well. Yep. Great fight. We've, you know, contractually, and we've already planned it, we're fighting in America in March. But even Boatsy, as you know, when I explain the levels, that's a big step up for Ben after 11 fights. And I know his last performance was, you know, indifferent, but Josh Boatsy's still a very good fighter. And by the way, Whittaker Boatsy, another great fight to be made. And we will fight Boatsy, and we will fight Benavidez. So all those steps will come. You'll get the you know, say, if you're that good, why don't you fight him now? Yeah. The reason being is because Ben Whittaker is a superstar, and we got a chance to make him huge. And if we give him the right development, he's going to be around for a long time, and he's going to create a great legacy in the sport. And that's the focus for us. Another
fighter, Boots, Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. I've seen that. You see that Virgil's Twitter X comment saying he's not had any.
Do you know what? It's the most bizarre. I don't want to say something that's going to affect us trying to make the fight, because right now we've got a great relationship with Oscar and Eric, but it just none of it makes sense. Like, we literally sat in a room and negotiated the terms for the fight, right? They told us what they thought was fair. We went back. We even talked about this win bonus element that I'm sure if the fight gets made, will come out. And we make sure we was on the front foot. And I said, these are the terms we've discussed with Golden Boy. This is, do you accept those? And he went, yes. And he signed to fight Virgil Ortiz on the terms that were discussed in that meeting, right? Then, and even, by the way, Oscar messaged me a week ago saying, let's make this fight. And I replied saying, yeah, great. The team have been talking to Eric Gomez. And then Virgil tweets last night going, I've not received any offer or been spoken to about this fight. No, and Virgil, I tweeted it. But Rick Meridian's non-stop, And I'm like, you need to speak to Golden Boy. I don't quite understand what's happening here. But I trust in Golden Boy. And I know, look, Golden Boy are under massive pressure from DAZN. So are we. To make this fight. It's a must. What are we doing if we don't make this fight? We're both with DAZN. We both think we've got the best 154-pounder in the world. Presumably, I know from our side, the fighters and their teams think they win the fight. It's a massive surefire hit. It's one of the best fights in American boxing. Let's do it.
And the thing that makes this a good fight is that I've seen loads of talking heads say they don't really give a shit if there's a world title on the line for this one. Just make the fight.
That's when you know you've got a great fight. And it's just, like I say, there are some great fighters at 54. But for me, these are the two standout guys. And it's just, when we talk about their primes, both these guys are in their absolute primes of their career. And that's what makes it so exciting. Virgil Ortiz is an amazing fighter. I just feel like Boots is something so special. And I believe we win. So we're in. But none of it really adds up from all the different, what we're hearing. So hopefully we can make some progress.
Well, I went on Anthony Joshua then because I want to piggyback off something I heard you say in one of them 2-hour Zoom calls that you mentioned there. You said that this fight is to build, against Jake Paul that is, to build AJ's profile a little bit more. Going into February, he's got a fight, and then I heard you say he will be fighting Tyson Fury in September.
If Turki Al-Sheikh gets his way.
Right.
We have agreed to that fight. So it's on Tyson Fury. And it's not a call-out. He's either up for it or he's not. But Turki Al-Sheikh hasn't failed yet in making a fight that he wants to make and making a fight that the whole world wants to see. So I believe he'll get it done. When we talk, the reason that was the BBC, and they went to me, go on, this is your opportunity to justify the people, the critics of the AJ Jake Paul fight. And I went, I ain't got to justify nothing, mate. I said, it's not my fight. I said, we got phoned and we got an opportunity. We got made an offer to fight Jake Paul for a near career high payday. What do you think we're going to do? I said, maybe I'm hoping that, my sort of honesty, if you like, or my front-facing strategy of just telling you how it is enough. We don't have to justify anything. We're the B-side. We're an opponent, right? We are. We're an opponent.
The favourite, though.
No, but the reason I hope we're the favourite, but the reason that we're the opponent is because it's their show. It's their offer.
Yeah.
And I said to them, what we're getting massive exposure, particularly in the US. We're getting a run out, which he really wanted with his new team.
The injury operation.
And we're getting an absolute fortune. Tell me one man in the world that wouldn't accept.
No, there isn't.
There isn't. So, I said to the guy, I ain't got to justify anything. Do I think it's crazy? Completely. Do I think it's almost ridiculous? Yes. I'm getting to the point now where it's so crazy that I'm starting to get a little bit worried about what is Jake Paul actually thinking. Is he really good? Look at Teddy Atlas come out, and Teddy Atlas actually, says some of it, right? Teddy Atlas goes, don't count Jake Paul out in this fight. I'm like, Teddy's a smart boxing guy. I'm like, got me a bit worried. And what he said was, he goes, look, Jake's a really smart guy. And what Teddy's kind of saying is we don't really know what he's doing here, but he's doing it with some kind of reason. So what is the reason? And the reason is he thinks he can win. Jake Paul.
He's crazy though, isn't
Yeah, I think so. But then when the BBC said, yeah, don't you think this is really dangerous? And I said, yeah, it is. But don't forget, Jake Paul is a professional fighter. He's a cruiserweight. Now, if you look at his sparring, Frank Sanchez, Lawrence Okoli, can't remember who the other one was, some other big lump, they're doing...
Jared Anderson.
They're doing 6, 8, 10 rounds with big...
It was Ray Ford last week.
Yeah, but with big, hard-punching heavyweights. Like, it's not like me just going in and fighting AJ. I haven't been punched in the face since I was about 12. Like, these guys, they spar every day. Now, obviously, some of those guys are top 15 heavyweights in the world. Now, when you go into a real arena with 10-ounce gloves on, it is very different. And AJ, I think, is a lot better than those heavyweights. But it's not like it's just some random bloke from the street. Like, this is a real fighter, but just a fighter that isn't anywhere near that level, in my opinion. But listen, fair play to him.
Would you be disappointed if it gets past that first round?
I think that's a bit...
Because I saw what he done to Ngannou. I was there, and I'm like, Ngannou's a fighter.
Like, Joshua's not going to come out and start swinging windmills in the first 10 seconds. He's going to come out, he's going to just, look him up and down, whether that's 20 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, I don't know. But as soon as he hits him clean, the fight's over. All right? Now, that fight could get stopped in very different ways. If they're in a clinch and he hits him and it hits him downstairs, it's going to break his ribs and he ain't going to get up. If they're in a clinch and he hits him around the side of the head, the arm, like, he's going to be going over. The ref could jump in and save him. Or, if Jake Paul gets a little bit brave and he hits him clean and flush like he did Ngannou, he's going to sleep. Right? So anything could happen in this fight in that respect. Like, I think we say if it's not over in the first round, Joshua's legacy is like, I think that's a bit harsh.
The fix is in, Eddie. The fix is in.
Now listen, if it goes points or if AJ loses rounds, it's a disaster in my opinion. So, but again, this is a guy, he will have a strategy. He's got people around him who know boxing inside out. They will have a strategy, probably to survive, and maybe take a shot at some point to try and win the fight. But they'll be building a strategy plan to try and do rounds. But I just feel like I don't know, like, what's going to happen? Bell's going to go, AJ, what's he going to do? Take the middle of the ring, back him up to the ropes? Or is Jake Paul going to come forward? Or is he going to just, I mean, the moment he touches those ropes and gets backed up and the artillery fires in.
Do you think it's dangerous, Eddie? Is that too dangerous?
I mean, every fight's dangerous. I mean, in the respect of, I think Jake Paul is overmatched.
Yes.
Yes, but not in the respect of he's getting hit every day by big punching heavyweights. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's not going to get hit and go, I can't... what the feeling of that was, I've never been punched before. But he's not getting hit with 10-ounce gloves on by someone like Anthony Joshua. He's getting hit by a Coley with 16-ounce gloves on in sparring with head guards on. By the way, it's still enough to knock out a horse. And by the way, I think Jake Paul's tough.
Yeah, well,
and I think he can probably whack a bit for a cruiserweight. But I don't
whack enough to scare Joshua.
I don't think so. But by the way, AJ's fighting. AJ's not going in there going, it's Jake Paul. Like, what is he going to do? He's going, he's trained extremely hard for this fight. It's been a shorter camp than he would normally have, but he's training like he's fighting a world-class heavyweight contender. And he's taking this deadly serious. I mean, the amount of people that stop me and go, yeah, but it's obviously a script. I'm like, no, mate, firstly,
you're going to get that.
That's completely illegal, right? I mean, and by the way, if it was an exhibition and they asked us to have a script, do you think I would allow AJ to go in there and lose rounds against this bloke? No. We're going in there as a professional fight to do what he does every time. Knock him out as quickly as possible, and then normal business is resumed in 2026.
A couple more then, quick ones in, Eddie. WBC convention is on. Now, I don't know if anyone asked Ben Shalom on this, but what is the script with Subriel Matias and Dalton Smith? What's happened? Has anything been said in WBC since I've been on the flight?
So, as I understand it, there hasn't been an official ruling from the WBC, but the ruling from the New York State Athletic Commission, which I have to say, like, the New York State Athletic Commission are one of the top and definitely one of the most strict commissions in boxing. They follow their rules. Unfortunately, if you want to call it that, or bizarrely, might be a better word, they have a rule where they will allow up to 0.1, whatever it is, of ostarine in your system. Right? Now, under VADA, which is governed by WADA, WADA say any ostarine is an absolute no, and it's a straight fail. But in this instance, and thank God it's not my show, and thank God he's not my fighter, because this would be a right mess. I mean, I would be getting, imagine the pelters I'd be getting now. As I said to you before, it's not the decision of the promoter, it's the decision of the commission in question, right? So when we had all our drama before, the commission took 7 weeks to make a decision, and that's what fucked us and cost us 7 figures because of that delay. This time, they've acted, but what I know what they will do, and when I heard their rule about the 0.1, I knew what the commission were going to do. They're going to follow their rules. So they're going to say it was 0.9, I don't even know what it was. So it was 0.9. That's under now, the WBC will generally always follow the decision of the commission. But they're also a standalone governing body that could say, no, we actually follow the WADA code, and WADA says anything, any ostarine. Ostarine's a man-made substance. It's not something that can be found in some food or something like that. Any ostarine is not acceptable. So the WBC could say, we're no longer sanctioning this fight, we're going to strip Subriel Matias. For me, unlikely. I think what the WBC will do is they will say, it's on the commission. And, you know, as I understand it, the commission now have put all this additional things in place for Subriel Matias. So B sample testing, I think he had to be, he's already been tested a couple of times more till the fight, but basically like every other day, non-stop testing, you know.
But you said it's a man-made thing. When do we just say no? Enough's enough. Out.
Yeah.
Because that's Janabek being done as well.
I mean,
I've heard,
again, I truly believe that a small percentage of fighters who test positive for PEDs, they haven't done so knowingly, and I do believe, and I know for a fact, contamination exists. But the absolute majority of people are cheating, right? So you have to get to the bottom
There's a thin line.
of, you know, and some people, Ryan Garcia tested positive, he got a year ban, didn't even really affect him. I mean, probably kept him out of the ring 3 months longer than he would have been. That's it, you know? But again, you don't know the situations. Everybody deserves the right to, you know, but to test positive like that with ostarine, and for a commission such as the New York State Athletic Commission to say it's okay,
If
fight
the
goes on.
WC and the commission say good to go, Dalton and yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Dalton's a fighter, so it's not he couldn't care less. It's a concern for everybody, but the problem is once the commission, you know, contractually, we had this whole thing with the Eubank Jr, right? Contractually, you're governed by the decision of the commission. You cannot, in most contracts, I know every contract's different, unless you have it in, which is actually been an adaptation of some of our contracts since the Ben Eubank fight, the sanctioning of the event is decided by the commission. So if you test positive, I can't terminate that contract if the commission say, no, we've looked into that and it's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're sanctioning the event. Now, you can implement things within a contract, but most things within a contract would be governed by the sanctioning of the commission. So when the commission sanctions it, and if the WBC sanction it, if Dalton Smith doesn't accept the fight, he's out. He don't get another shot at the world title. You know, Dalton Smith could come back and go, well, I don't think this is fair. I'm fighting a guy that's had Osterine in his system. And the ruling would be contractually, all right, well, if you want to pull out the fight, mate.
It's muddy water, isn't it?
It is, and I don't think that's right, but that's the situation that we're in. We're still going to beat him. But
the date's still on, January, New York?
At the moment. I mean, again, I think we're waiting for an official WBC, but I think it's very difficult for the WBC to go against the ruling of the commission. But we shall see.
Chris Eubank Jr. put a post out in the hospital bed, going through some tests. I seen it briefly when I was in Heathrow. Your thoughts on that? He said that he was dealing with medical issues for a while now, and he's not going to box until these are done. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, each to their own. I thought it was, I don't know who's taking the photo, and obviously, as I understand it, he was having a colonoscopy or whatever it was, or something like that. And I hope he can, get well and healthy. I don't, sometimes you just got to take it on the chin. If you were so ill, what are the people around you doing, even letting you fight? And I don't, the reality is I was just in Dubai. People were telling me he's training like a beast. When I saw him at the weigh-in, he looked phenomenal. Like 10 times better than he did at the weigh-in for the first fight. And I said, look, again, he won't even want me to say Conor, but we were 24, 48 hours of pulling Conor Benn out of the fight 3 weeks before the fight with problems, medical, and it's like you've got to make that decision at some point, and you've got to go, camp's never ideal, right? You work with fighters, everybody's had an illness, everybody's had an injury of some point. Very few times, although every fighter says, Chris Eubank included, going into this fight, camp's been unbelievable. I'm in the shape of my life. It's very unusual for that to actually be true, but we had to make decisions in camp whether we would proceed with the fight. But once you do, you never look back. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like you can't go through this and then all of a sudden start getting people to take photos of you. And by the way, listen, I hope he gets better. I'm sure he is. He has got some kind of issue. But that's done and dusted. You went into the fight. You let people go into the fight. You look great. You trained really hard, but you lost. So get well soon, but I'm not interested. We never did an interview after and go, you wouldn't believe what happened to us in camp. This and how we even won this fight, because Conor would never allow that to happen. So, look, may he get well soon, and health is the most important thing. So, I said going into the fight, I believe this will be his last fight, and I think what happened in that first fight took the most out of him. So, get well soon, get healthy, and if he carries on fighting, good luck to him. But Conor Benn won the fight. He produced a great performance. He deserves the credit, and right now he's one of the biggest stars in the sport.
Well, Eddie, I think I'm sitting on a 7
was
strain
that?
on this. I was just 50 minutes nearly. 50 minutes. You're probably starving, are you?
I'm starving. It's 6:15.
6:15. Well, I'm going to go and get a run, Eddie, believe it or not, because I'm sitting on a 7 strain. I know you've been smashing that whip.
Do you know what? I've been training really hard. I've actually lost a lot of weight. I'm really but the travel, I don't know how you get on when you go to the Middle East, but it kills my jet lag. If I go to New York or if I go to LA, no problem at all. Because I get to the hotel, have a bit of grub, go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, go to the gym, start work. When I go to Saudi or to Dubai,
Late nights, isn't it?
It's like go sleep at 4 in the morning, wake up at 11, and I'm just like a zombie. And now I've come back, but life is good. Tune in live on DAZN on Saturday night.
Tune in. Listen, this will be the first of about 5 interviews this week, but
Great,
thanks again.
can't wait, man. Cheers.
Cheers, Eddie.